Good afternoon. Welcome to the second class, the 2022 Ada Borup West Hall of Fame. As your MC today, I welcome you. I welcome all guests, all new members into the Hall of Fame, all your families, friends, and I congratulate you. All of you so deserving to be recognized and honored as the newest inductees into the Ada Borup West Hall of Fame. Thank you to Ada Borup West School Activities Director Kenley Wallin for your leadership with the Hall of Fame Committee, organizing, keeping us on track, calling and scheduling the meetings, and special thanks as well to the Ada Borup West Hall of Fame Committee members for your due diligence, your efforts, your work, and your commitment into the Hall of Fame. We have continued to receive several nominations. For those that are here and for those that are watching and those that will be watching, just know that of all the nominations received, those who have not yet entered into the Hall of Fame are still in the file as nominees into the Ada Borup West Hall of Fame. Let's welcome our new inductees as a group, and then individually they will be recognized, and we will hear from them as they go into the Ada Borup West Hall of Fame. Into the class of 2022, Ruth Hayden, Chester Dekko, Ardell Knudsfig, Eric Swanson, Dean Boyer, Daryn Lowe, Norman County Index, Ross and Pat Fund, 1966 boys basketball, 2009 girls basketball. An impressive group, a group going into the Hall of Fame of community supporters, longtime business members and supporters, leaders, championship teams, athletes, strong academic individuals, and highly respected with the education field. All being recognized in the Ada Borup West Hall of Fame, this class of 2022, Vikings, Cougars, Panthers. Let's go. I'm excited for you to hear more from these individuals in the 2022 Ada Borup West Hall of Fame. Please join me in welcoming our first inductee, longtime coach, teacher, school supporter, community member, Ruth Hayden.
I can see. Okay. Oh boy, just a little bit about me. I was born actually in Waverly, Iowa in 1957, and I moved to Minnesota in 1959. Our family lived on a dairy farm just south of Verndale, and I loved the farm work. We were dairy farmers, we had hogs, we had kittens and chickens, and you name it, we had it. Mom and Dad pushed us kids to work very hard, and I thank them for that, and I know Dad's watching me up there. I graduated from Verndale High School in 1975. My coaching mentor was actually Kathy Teckham. She coached me in all three sports throughout high school. So I had her for basketball, volleyball, track and field. And in the 70s, that was the start kind of women, and usually you had one coach. That's the way it worked. I started out by playing 6-person basketball, and I didn't really like it because I had to play on the defense, so I could never get to the other side to play offense. Finally, my freshman year, the girls' rules changed, and we got to play 5-person. Then the game, that lit me up a little bit. We played basketball in the fall, we played volleyball in the winter, and of course, track and field really hasn't changed. We were just as much as northern Minnesota, and the weather was always crappy in the spring. But I had the opportunity, I participated in the state track meet 4 years in a row, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And I had the honor that I was actually placed 3 of those 4 years. And back then you ran yards. So my races was the 440 and the 880. I attended then Fergus Falls Community College, and I actually played 4 sports there for a while. I was in volleyball, basketball, softball. I love softball, and I played women's softball for a long time too. But also I participated in some track meets there. Well, I decided then when I transferred, I had a roommate, and I transferred up to Bemidji State, and I thought, I gotta dig in here because I can't be doing all these sports and trying to do school and graduate on time. So I actually experimented a little bit. They called me in, I dropped all kind of my sports, and I was kind of a gopher player for field hockey. And that was quite the deal because I like to be rough and I like to whack sticks, and you could get hit with balls and everything else. And obviously they wanted me actually to come out for the team, but it was like, no, I'll just be a practice player for you guys, and you can beat up on me and whatever, and if I get hurt, it's not a big deal. So that's kind of, and then I played a lot of intramurals there, but Bemidji State is actually where I ended up and graduated out of. My student teaching mentors were Ruth Steen, Ruth who has passed away, great person, and Chet Thompson, and I know some people from West, Hendrum, Halstead, wherever, you are very aware of those people and how dedicated they were to education and sports. From there, in 1980 is when I began my career of teaching physical education, health, and my coaching career, which was Climax, Minnesota. I was hired on a Friday, and I started practice on Monday. The coach had just dropped, boom, went back to North Dakota, and they interviewed me. Walt Onenson and Tom Sedler believed in me, and here we go. Volleyball, I was the only one. And it was like, oh boy, how am I gonna do junior high, CJV, and all this? Well, and my first starting assistant coach, Deb Dale, taught first grade. She goes, I know nothing about volleyball, and I said, Deb, I'll teach you as we go, but I gotta have somebody. Because I would take off for work, I can remember from Ada here at 5 in the morning, because I had the junior hires in the morning. We only had one court on a concrete floor. It wasn't the best of situations. And then in the afternoon, we had our C, B, and A. And that's how we rolled. From there, we were Climax, then we became Climax Fisher Knights, and in 1992, our first merger, I had the pleasure of going to my first state tournament. And the state tournament for volleyball was held at the Met Center, which now is the Mall of America. So what a great thing that was. Plus, we were only in a 2-class system, and we only had a 2-day tournament. And I think we ended up in those 2 days, we played probably 14 sets. Our kids were so tired. And I'm so glad that that went to a 3-day tournament. We moved into a 3-class system, and now it is a 4-class system. So things have really changed. And also, there wasn't the rally scoring, there wasn't the let's serve. The Libero started out, they couldn't serve. Well, that rule changed. So there have been a lot of switches and changes in the state of Minnesota with volleyball. And I guarantee that men's or boys volleyball will be coming up here soon. In the line of track, I started, and I think I had 4 boys and 4 girls. Well, in Verndale, we were very competitive as far as track and field. And I thought, oh boy. Well, come lo and behold, we had a cinder track. We didn't have really much equipment, but we did produce a state champion in the 100 and 200, which was Nathan Cooper from Climax. We would go to meets just to practice using the blocks and things like that. We had no business going to meets like that because they were so huge, but that's how he would get his experience. And also I've had the pleasure to have Brian Blasey, which was a state champion in the shot put and the discus here for Ada. So track and field, 40 years, I can't list all the kids and whatnot, but usually we probably got at least 1 kid to the state, and probably we had maybe a relay with a few more kids. Volleyball I had for 36 years. And again, all the teams, just great kids. And that's really what it's all about, is for our athletes and our kids. And obviously, community support, and most importantly, the parents, and the dedication and the time and the commitment that you have to put into your kids. And believe me, kids grow up really fast. And dedicate that time when you can, because there is no turning back and wishing, oh, I should have or I could have. It goes way, way too fast. As far as volleyball tournaments, I've been in 8 volleyball tournaments. I have an overall career record of 730 wins and 248 losses. My best finish in volleyball was a 3rd place finish with a team of 208, and I know some of those who are being inducted in that 209. Those were some of my players. And we had a record there that year of 32-2. So just great, great people. And of course, I've just been in a lot of other various levels of different committees in the state of Minnesota for volleyball, for track and field, and getting to know coaches and people from, you know, the southern border all the way up to the Canadian border. And the camaraderie of coaches and people has just been great. And then to start out, this is the great honor of being inducted into the 222 Ada Borup West Hall of Fame. This would have not have happened without the help of a lot of people. And a lot of familiar faces out here, community people, administrators, et cetera, et cetera. I am very willing to accept this honor. There have been many people who have helped me along the way. I would like to acknowledge some of those, and I have talked about a few of those. Students and athletes, this is what makes it happen. Without all of my players and students, I would not be here. My husband, Dan, who has been very helpful and caring, we have been married for 44 years. And I know some of you are probably going, whoa. And I'm sure he knows just as much about things that happened at school, about volleyball, as much as I do, because he had a very listening ear. Every story about girls and their drama, parents who are happy, sad, or even mad, practice schedules, game and tourney schedules, line judging, and sometimes getting yelled at while doing the lines. It was kind of a thankless job. Running the score clock, helping me with entering stats on the computer. He would also give me advice, but the best was all of his love. He was very patient, and he has a great listening ear. He has always been there to support me and believe in me. My mom, who still lives out on the farm. Mom is 85, soon to be 86 this week, so happy birthday, Mom. And my dad passed away not too long ago, so she talks many days how lonely she is. But us kids and the grandkids and everybody else, we keep her going and we keep her generated to keep going each day. They have been a huge part of this honor. They have taught me to be fair to all kids and to give everyone a chance. They've talked about pushing and teaching kids that hard work will equal success. Have a love for kids, remember to have fun, and that winning is not everything. Dad would say, you will sometimes fail, and that is a part of life. Treat kids with respect, be dedicated, and don't complain. Just do your best. They are both great role models. They were there when I needed help, especially through 1st through 12th grade and my college days. I can always say, I want to be like my mom and my dad. Family is number one. Thank my siblings. My brother is here, Jim. He farms south of Verndale, still on our home farm. And my younger sisters, I have one that lives out in Indiana, Elizabeth, Crown Point, Indiana, and her family. Kathy and her husband, Steve. Kathy is an elementary teacher in Bertha Hewitt. Steve is a teacher in Verndale. And of course, my baby sister, who I've always got everything, you know. Margaret is here, and her husband, Mark, and Margaret teaches in the Minnetonka school districts. So most all of us, family-wise, are teachers in education. Thanks again to all my nieces and nephews, and I have Amanda is here today. And then a big thank you to our two children. They both teach and they both coach, and with their spouses. So again, they're all in education and coaching. My daughter Becca, who couldn't be here today, she is in a huge volleyball tournament in Farmington. And I understand, those are important things. Mitch, he came along and he brought Hayden. Hayden can stand, yep. Hayden is 15, 9th grade, and Braylee is 13, 7th grade. And they're good little athletes, participants. Hayden is cross country, basketball, and golf. And Braylee is basketball, volleyball. Volleyball is her love. I wonder why. And she plays some softball, but she might try track in the spring, so we'll have to kind of see. And then I have my son Kenneth, and he even dressed in red and black. He still loves Ada. And Becky, his wife, who was unable to make it today, she's back with the little one, and that is Ada. Ada is named after this town, so that's how much he loved Ada. Anyway, Audrey is here. Audrey is 12, and watch out, because these guys go to Roseau, and I think someday there's lots of girls. That's all Kenneth has, is four girls. Gracie, who is 8. Gracie loves, yep. And then I have Maggie. Come on, Maggie. Maggie is in 1st grade. She's usually not shy. I don't know what's going on there. And then, of course, like I said, Ada is 13 months old. And Ada, we just came back from a trip from California. She had major heart surgery. So she's on the heel and doing well. So when I talk about the kids, my kids, they were very dedicated at what they did and what they did in high school and in their sports. And they do the same in their jobs. Back in Roseau, Kenneth is an AD. He also teaches phy-ed and health. He's done coaching, and I think instead of the boys, I think he'll eventually kind of get into the girls here now. And of course, his wife is also in the elementary, and Becky is also a head volleyball coach for Roseau. Whereas, like I said, Becca is in Delano and is head volleyball there. Mitch also teaches in the high school, and he has basketball. He works with basketball, but he's also head track. So their lives are very busy, and that's what it's all about. So again, like I said, I thank them for their support, their patience, and understanding, the countless hours that are put in. And I think they're realizing now why maybe sometimes Mom wasn't always at home, because it takes time and it takes commitment and it takes dedication. And all the students and all the athletes that I have, they become like your own. And that's how I tried to treat all of them. And again, it's through education, academics. I have very high standards for kids that way. But in the coaching world, win, losing, you don't have to worry. It's life skills that are being taught. And we're all gonna win and we're all gonna lose. So again, and I know probably one of my most famous assistant coaches is here today, and that's Nikki Gullingsrud and their family, Ben, Alex, Gracie, and Corinne, and I appreciate that you guys came out. And we miss you here, miss you a lot. So again, just thank you. The college instructors, the administrators, the ADs, and that list, it could go on and on and on. But I appreciate everybody for their support, secretaries, etc. As a teacher and coach, it's been a pleasure to have worked with hundreds of dedicated students and athletes, teaching kids not only to win, but also now to lose definitely to them, hopefully, is a life learning experience. My motto has been, in order to succeed, your desire for success should be greater than your fear of failure. 50 years from now, it will not matter what my bank account was, the type of house I lived in, or the kind of car I drove, but the world may be different because I was important in the life of a student or an athlete. So again, thank you.
Thank you, Ruth. Our next inductee into the 2022 Ada Borup West Hall of Fame class is Chester Dekko. Here today to accept and to present is Barry Rockford.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be here with you. My name is Barry Rochford, and I work at the Dekko Foundation, which Mr. Dekko started back in 1981 in Kendallville, Indiana, with a mission of fostering economic freedom through education. First, let me say that the Dekko family wishes that they could be here today for Mr. Dekko's induction into the Cougar Hall of Fame. It is a tremendous honor, and they extend a heartfelt thank you to the Hall of Fame Committee, to Ada Borup West, and to the community of Ada. This recognition is special because this place was special to Mr. Dekko throughout his life. I can't speak much to Mr. Dekko's athletic ability. He grew up in the Great Depression, and after his father fell ill and the family-run restaurant closed, he and his siblings had to do whatever they could to help provide for the family. His college yearbook, however, states that he played intramural basketball, and his team won the intramural championship. It also says, and I quote, that he had unconscious accuracy on the basketball floor. I never had the opportunity to meet Mr. Dekko, but I think that sounds like him. He was a man driven to excel at whatever he put his mind to. He and his co-founder started their business in 1953 in Albion, Indiana, in a vacant power plant. Nearly 40 years later, Group Dekko International was one of the largest privately owned companies in Indiana, with more than 50 manufacturing plants in different parts of the country and thousands of workers. Mr. Dekko believed, and this is something that we still say at the foundation, that success equals talent plus hard work and a little bit of luck. In 1981, he started the Dekko Foundation in part because he wanted to help provide a little bit of luck to the communities that had been integral to his success. Certainly Ada and all of Norman County was crucial to his success. This community helped shape and mold him, and it instilled the values and the work ethic that were so important to him as a business leader and a philanthropist. There was a Nike ad that Mr. Dekko was fond of later on in his life. On the ad were the words, "There is no finish line." Mr. Dekko believed that you could always get better. There was always another goal to achieve. There was always a better product. Mr. Dekko passed away in 1992. If he were alive today, I think he would be proud of the fact that his connection to the special community is not finished. It lives on through his foundation. Thank you again for this honor. It's greatly appreciated.
Thank you, Barry. As we move forward, our next inductee, we welcome Ardell Knudsfig.
It's so good to be back to Ada. We came here, and Sandy, my wife here, and we came here in 1960. Mr. Casey, who became head of Minnesota Education, said, "We're building on a new biology room, we're building on a new wrestling room, so why don't you come? And we'll even give your wife a job." Because in 1960, they didn't necessarily like hiring two people in the same family because you'll make too much money. But we came, but we had to put up with some inconveniences for a few years. Like I taught at Lockhart. We had 7th and 8th grade, 5th and 6th grade, 3rd and 4th, and 1st and 2nd. And I thought, here I am, a biologist, and I got to teach English and math and social, everything. It was a rewarding experience. It made me a teacher. it was unreal. But anyway, I had 3 mothers out there. Bernice, Lorraine, and Oma were the other 3 teachers. And they were bears. So by the time the kids got to 7th and 8th grade, they were perfect citizens. My 5th and 6th grade teacher was Oma, and she had a voice that you would never need a microphone for. And anyway, she had those 5th and 6th graders so ready for 7th and 8th grade. But if you can feel what it was like, the first day went out and the bell sounded, and it was about 15 kids came into this room, and they were looking at me, and I was looking at them, and they just sat there. And all of a sudden I realized I am a teacher and I'm in charge. It was a scary moment, but it was a very rewarding one. It made me a teacher. I realized how important that person is in the lives of students. And that's been my premise all through mainly biology teaching. And we started the wrestling program in 1960, and we had about, Marv Gunderson was on one of the first teams, and we started with a few kids, and it just grew because Ada was an athletic town, but you had so few opportunities in basketball because of the numbers they would use. So there were all kinds of kids ready to do something. And so we had outstanding athletes who contributed so much to that program. And it was a big, big part of our life at that point. Marv was on one of the first teams, and others here in Ada that I recognize, and families, and I've met now. And it was a rewarding experience because individual sports are so important. I never knew it. I grew up in a little high school. There were 5 of us in this graduating class over here at Buxton, North Dakota. We played basketball, and I don't know if we had enough to have substitutes, but anyway, I found out how important individual sports are. And wrestling is one of those perfect ones that fit every style of student. You could be too big, or you could be too small, and you'd have a perfect spot on the team. It was a perfect replica for Ada, because they like to compete. And so that began our career in coaching. And I'll keep this short, but at that time our wrestling room wasn't ready. They were adding on a science and wrestling room onto the high school here. And so we had to wait a year for that wrestling room. So in the meantime, Mr. Casey, the superintendent, said, well, why don't you practice on the 3rd floor of the old elementary school? There was a big room up there above the gymnasium, and so we would drag the mats up there on 3rd floor. Then on the days of a meet, we had to roll them up, take them down to 1st floor, haul them on our hoods on the cars, and take them back to the high school. And then early that morning or that night, we'd have to take them back to the high school or to the elementary because you had to let them thaw out. So this was our ritual back then, and it became a part of our workout program, really, carrying mats around and so on. But that was the way we started our program. So when we got a wrestling room with our own mats and didn't have to move anything, it was a luxury. We were spoiled after that. So that was wrestling. And the biology room was perfect. We have tried to attract all the good students who wanted to study life, the cell, and it became just a marvelous progression. And we had so many great students in sciences. Just like I'm sure that I know I teach here sometimes through an outreach program through University of Minnesota Crookston a few years ago. And they're so welcoming, they're so interested, and they're willing to learn. And that's a thing in our 15 years here in Crookston that just was so important. That they challenged you to provide the best experience possible. So it was fun as a teacher to know that you've got an audience that wants you. That was so important. So when you got prepared every day, you knew that you better be ready. And I see a lot of those eyes here. And our famous slogan was, I need your eyes. I wanted their brains. I wanted them to be listening. So often we'd bring our chairs up close together, right up front. And this is what we're going to be today. We're going to be maybe an embryologist, or maybe a cytologist, or maybe a botanist. But what are we going to be today? Where's your brain going to go? What do you need to learn today? And so it became a fun game. And so our 15 years here, Sandy and I enjoyed so much. Our 4 children, this is our home. Fred is here, our oldest son, works down at Mayo, and he came up to be a part of this. And the rest of our children whom are nurses, by the way, we happen to be a lot of biology. But it's been a glorious trip. Ada was it was home to us, and it is home to us now. We live in Crookston, and I just thank all the people, the parents, the students. It was a marvelous journey, and it allowed us to grow and to enjoy. So thank you to Ada. The Ada Viking was kind of a ingrown theme in our life. So thank you to parents, and I know I've got some old students here, and I appreciate them. So it was an important journey in our life, and it means a lot to us. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ardell. The next member going into the 2022 Ada Borup West Hall of Fame is Eric Swanson. And I'll apologize because I forgot to confirm before I stepped up here if there was or was not going to be someone accepting for Eric today. I'm not sure if that has come through or not, so if you're here, please let me know. But I do know that Eric is in Korea, and his story was shared in an interview that he did with Kevin Kochman yesterday afternoon as we arranged for the time difference between Ada and Korea, and they were able to connect, and the full story is online at rjbroadcasting.com, and the incredible work that he has done and what he has done throughout his career and how he is affecting in a positive way many lives and people. It's a tremendous story, and we recognize Eric Swanson, and we honor him as a graduate of the class of 1990 and the Distinguished Alumni Award, Eric Swanson, into the Ada Borup West Hall of Fame. Continuing on, the next inductee to come forward and to share the story is Dean Boyer.
I thought I'd better have notes because I've been known, I was inducted in the Minnesota State Hall of Fame. I have the record, 35 minutes. So I've got notes, folks, so hang tight, we'll be okay, all right? First of all, I'd like to congratulate the other Hall of Fame people, also the committee. They must not have seen my scoring record and my shooting percentage, so I thank you for that. Also, thank you for Kenley doing this. Is wonderful, absolutely wonderful. So, and then I'm surprised by some people that came. Joanne and Kathy Roth are here. I mean, they're Joanne's sister, younger, and Kathy was part of that. Our 62 group, we had so much fun. We were so squares, we used to square dance in basements of different homes. We didn't drink, believe it or not, we didn't drink them, but you thought we were drunk all the time, okay? And then Susie Thompson, relative, lives in Crookston. She graduated over there. She graduated from Ada, Minnesota. And her grandpa's still alive, 96 years of age, so it's great, yeah. And then the Solums, Gail and Kevin from Barnesville. That was my first teaching job. And then their son Jimmy played for me. Thanks, Jimmy. The kid could play a little bit, I'll guarantee you that. So, yeah. So, but I want to accept this award on behalf of my twin brother. Okay, we were never Dean and Don Boyer. We are the Boyer twins. Am I right? Nobody ever knew. We're the Boyer twins. So, but so interesting, and we looked alike. My mom says we're an identical, but you can't convince anybody else. So he had his first teaching job at Burnsville. My first teaching job was Barnesville. That's when we started screwing with people big time, and we enjoyed every second of it. I want you to know that. So, but Don was, we roomed together in college, okay, played together. He just played baseball and was a great pitcher, one of the best pitchers I've seen. He had a curveball that was really good. And they used to run my camps, and we officiated. His first one, he's married 3 times. Okay? I was best man 3 times. I said, I'm not doing it again. Okay, if you can't do it right in the 3rd time, you are on your own. Talk to my brother Craig. Maybe he will do that for you. Okay, but he got the last one. It was great. Okay, and then he retired early, and then he was my bat boy for 5 years. Coach had uniform and everything. I said, Don, you do not have to be a bat boy. The way I explained people what Don was like versus me, and when I was in high school, I was an introvert. It didn't take me long, baby, I'll guarantee you that. But, so people think I'm kind of on the weird side, a little different, you know, a little full of joy and stuff. Well, I said, well, my twin brother, when he was around, people thought I was normal, okay? And that is so true, okay? That is just the truth. So we had so much fun, and now I'm kind of like a Don Boyer. I helped coach at Augustin. We moved to Sioux Falls about 4 years ago because of grandkids, whatever. And so I'm not a bat boy, but I'm around. I throw batting practice and hit ground balls. I just want to be around young people. That's my joy, being around people. And I love still teaching games. After 3rd inning in the spring, I want to go home. I do not want to sit through this stuff, okay? But I'm still around anyway. So then my wife, Sherry, is here. And we celebrate our anniversary on September 9th, okay? 55 years she's had to live with me. Is that amazing? And when I introduce her to people that I know and she's never met, You can't believe how much they apologized to her. So, and then we have a son that teaches at MSU, is a professor, and then a daughter that married a football coach. That's the worst coach of sport. Never see him at all, okay? But their marriage may stay better because they don't see their husband as much, so I don't know. But anyway, so he's head football coach at Augustana. So they're ahead 30-0 in Moorhead right now. But I don't care who wins or not. It's not my job. Teachers were great at Ada. You knew that they cared about you. And before I knew the Ruoffs was coming, this name I had, and there's so many pictures, people's name I can mention. Dan Ruoff was a gem. He was the best. And he really cared for you. He was a counselor. He did the Little League baseball and stuff. And so he was a great one. And the teachers were role models. I knew going to Mayville State, I was going to teach and I was going to coach because they had such an impact on my life. Classmates, like I said, we had so much fun. It was just so enjoyable. And of course, that 1962 team, it was we got in the Hall of Fame. I need to tell you, I don't know if they offered anybody else this, but I was on the 62 team, so we were in the Hall of Fame. I wanted to come, but I had COVID. But they offered a 2-for-1. So I couldn't do that, so I got in on the second one. So I appreciate the committee for that. Yeah, that was great. And so Bill Brady was our coach, and we were hyper. I mean, we were just hyper people. And so Bill was perfect. We played Bemidji, beat Bemidji. I still remember the trip. He had a red Oldsmobile car, okay, nice car. I didn't think we were going to get there alive. He had to drive at least 90 miles an hour. And he was so calming and he was so good. And the people I talked to that know that I play for him, they said he was an incredible athlete. He was even better. He graduated from Mayville State. He was even better after he graduated. So he was just great. Wally Pierce was there too. Then at Minot State was my first college job, and that's where I started my true love at Fellowship of Christian Athletes. And I started there, and a guy that married my cousin said, was the regional director, and said, hey, would you like to start FCA? And I said, I don't know. But I had a great background here in the Christian faith in Ada. Okay, going to church and stuff, and Luther League and all those things. So faith is really important to me. But I didn't really commit my life to the Lord. I mean, I knew who he was, all this stuff, good stuff, right and wrong, never swore, never drank, okay? But until I went to Vietnam and knew that I had no control over my life, that's when I said, Lord, if I get out of here, I'm yours. So he puts people in your lives, people that are unbelievable. You just got to trust them. So I've been blessed so much. And the Lord's blessed me with good ball players and stuff. So I was in Minot the first 4 years. Don't tell anybody. This is between us, okay? First job I ever got fired from. Best thing ever happened. I got out of North Dakota. Okay? So then I was in Mankato State for 32 years, and I'll make this brief. But so I met a guy through my brother-in-law that was a board member of FCA, Edina, financial planner, had plenty of money. He wasn't a coach, he had a financial planner. And so we were trying to get a scoreboard for the college. And so we talked, and he said, gave me kind of his background. He says, well, I had a son that was 19, went to Kansas, but he had cancer, and he went to treatment and stuff. And finally, he tells me when I'm visiting him in the hospital, he says, you know, I'm not afraid of dying, Dad, but I'm dying for nothing. I said, you know what? This is a chance for us to honor him. Let's make this scoreboard Brett Peterson Memorial Scoreboard. And he said, let's do it. But if I do this, you need to start, and he must have done his background. He said, you've got to start an FC group at Mankato State every Wednesday at 9 o'clock, okay, for about 36 years. And it's because of that guy. And the neat thing that's on there, if you ever go to Mankato, it's a public institution. It is Fellowship of Christian Athletes is on the scoreboard. So that's what's important. That's what's important in life. So, and then I got to tell you this one story. Now I'm almost done. Okay, my son Shane played for me, and honestly, when he came, he was 135 pounds, about 5'7". I said he'll never play, but it's free education because of the union. And I figured after 2 years or 3 years where I'm going to finally have to cut him, I'm going to be a single guy again, okay? Because his mom's not going to like that a whole bunch. So, but he played for me, and it was probably one of the biggest overachievers. You know, playing for your dad isn't the easiest thing, but he worked so hard and achieved many things in his baseball playing time. But then he became a coach at Lindenwood, and my goal is kind of him taking over, but things didn't work out that well. But he's happy where he is right now. But when he's coaching at Lindenwood, we played in the Dome, brought him in, paid for what it was going to cost him. But I didn't know really who his mom would be wanting to win. And I didn't dare ask her, okay? So the night before the question, now you figure out on your own what she felt. She says, "You won't use your best pitchers against him, will you?" I was sunk. But that was probably one of the biggest thrills I've had, is coaching against him. But like I said, the Lord has blessed me. I've been in so doggone many Hall of Fames, but you know, if you're willing to pay for it, you can get in a lot of Hall of Fames. You guys got to look into that. You got to spend some of that money that you make in Ada, Minnesota. So, but hey, thank you so much. Thank you, the committee. And it's so much, I take so much pride in being from Ada. Followed the 209 and all the other teams and stuff. You've done so well. Jim Statham, his two sons played for me. Jeremy just texted me today, said, "Hey, say hi to the 1996 team and wish you well." And he said his dad loved playing for you guys, so congratulations. Thank you, folks. God bless you a whole bunch.
Thank you, Dean. Well, let's welcome to the podium the next inductee into the Ada Borup West Hall of Fame, Daryn Lowe.
So I get to follow up Dean Boyer. Well, number one, it's great to be back. I've been away for 30 years. I've been down in the Missouri area for 30 years. Been currently in my 24th year as a head coach at Northwest Missouri State. My son played last night, football game in Kansas City, so I'm the only one. I just got my one supporter, cousin Todd over here. So he's my fan. But had a chance last night to tell a lot of stories, maybe to tell a few lies, catch up with some people that I haven't seen for a long time. But, you know, I've been gone for 30 years, but it'll be up to you to decide if 30 years is long enough to lose a Minnesota accent. So time will tell. As some of the other people have done, I'd like to congratulate the other inductees. This is quite an honor. You know, if you go into any Hall of Fame, but you think back, it's not just us going in the Hall of Fame. It's those teachers that helped you out. You had to have great coaches. You had to have great teammates. And then those coaches that go into Hall of Fames, we have to have great players. So it's not a one-person honor. You know, it comes with all those people that have helped you along the way. So I started Hendron Purley High School. I grew up watching David Smart play high school athletics, and I wanted to be like David Smart. David was a huge role model for me growing up. He was a couple years older than I was, but David played the sport the right way. He was always a heart of the earth guy, high moral code, and feel like David was almost like a big brother to me, even when he went on to Morehead State, was a big brother to me for kind of setting me in the right direction as far as athletics was concerned. So I appreciate you in my early years. So, Hendon Pearly High School at the time, we did not have organized baseball or organized summer recreation. So, and my dad really wanted me to play baseball. That was his sport, loved to play when he was a kid, so he wanted me to play. Unfortunately, my grandparents lived in Ada. So once I started playing Pee Wee baseball, Little League baseball, every summer I got out of the hayfield and Dad would ship me to Ada and up on whatever 6th Avenue or whatever up there. I'd stay with my grandparents. I'd ride my bike over to the Little League fields. I'd ride my bike to the pool. I'd ride my bike to the popcorn stand underneath the water tower. So I rode my bicycle we talked about this last night, rode my bike in the Bicentennial Parade. Some of us might remember that one, back in 1976, right? So every summer I would come back to Ada. So even at that time, I had my own little co-op of Hendon Pearly Ada. So that was my start with my tie to Ada. About my Babe Ruth baseball days, Hendon decided that we're going to have summer recreation baseball, and I thought I was obligated to stay with my classmates and play with them. So I did that all the way through my middle days, and kind of like the situation we're in now, the summer before my sophomore year, Hendon and Halsted were going to consolidate. So at the time, I think we both Hendon and Halsted had good pieces as far as athletes and coaches and things like that. We just weren't deep enough to do great things for either place. So my freshman year, we co-opted track and volleyball with Halsted, which really kind of broke the ice as far as that rivalry kind of coming down. And then I think back to that consolidation. My dad was chairman of our school board at the time, and I think that was the best thing that could have happened to us. We combined. We were fortunate enough to have 5 or 6 great classes of athletes. So our sophomore year, we started having success. My junior year, we played in the Metrodome and got runners up. In football, had some great basketball teams along the way. My senior year, we were state champions in football. Had some great basketball teams, but just couldn't get over the hump. Paul Walswick, we had some great track teams, very talented track teams. And then when I left, then they eventually won a basketball state title as well. So just fortunate to be able to put those athletes together to be able to have those experiences. So then after we won our state title in football, it felt like I wanted to continue playing college baseball, but we really had a good football year too. So I decided to attend Valley City State in North Dakota. Played football and baseball there. Had a little bit of success there. Played against Mike Colness, one of our teammates that we got split up for a while. So I played 4 years there. Going into my senior year, or my senior year of baseball, started getting some looks as far as professional baseball. So back then, of course, there was no internet, there was no ESPN, no cell phone. You really had no idea how the professional process worked. So it was just kind of a wait and see type thing. We knew it was the first week in June and so on, but you just had no idea. I got seen pitching down in Oklahoma, down south. Now, let me take a step back. Every summer, when we, after baseball in my college years, I would come back to Ada, and I would coach Little League Baseball, and I would coach Pee Wee Baseball. We would manage, the Tony Sipe Field. We'd paint all the lines. We'd mow all the grass. And then we'd play Ada A's amateur baseball. That was our summer, and we loved it. And I think back to that group was 12 to 13 guys. I think we skipped weddings. We skipped concerts. We would not miss a game of Ada A's baseball at any cost, and had a blast. Played in the softball league, played 50 games of baseball in the summer, and then a group of us, if we weren't playing baseball or softball, we'd go fishing. So what a great summer that we had. So came back after my senior year. Of course, again, had no idea what the professional prospects were for me. We were actually, Mike Holness and I were just talking about this. We were taking batting practice, had an amateur baseball game that night. And we were taking batting practice right where the batting cage still is today. And Keith Hansen rode his bike over, and he said, "Hey, you just got drafted in the 26th round by the Seattle Mariners." I said, "Okay, what do we do?" And so we just kept hitting. We didn't know exactly what to do. He said, "The scout's going to call you." So we had all kinds of people, manning the phones, the landlines, of course, at the time. We started the 7 o'clock game that night, got a call, got word out. He's going to be in Fargo at midnight tonight, and you have to go sign your professional contract. So they pulled me out of the game. We made a little announcement, said, see you, Ada, hopefully soon. And 2 days later, I was playing professional baseball in Bellingham, Washington. So got an opportunity to play, like I said, 3 years of professional baseball. Had a lot of great experiences there. Really looking back at my career, again, been down in Missouri for 30 years. I've been at Northwest Missouri State for 24 years. Got an opportunity to have a good high school career, a good college career in football, baseball. Had a great time playing amateur baseball at the Ada A's, to professional baseball, to coaching. And to think about it, it all started on the Little League fields of Ada. So thank you for this award. It's quite an honor. Thanks.
Thank you, Daryn. Next, we welcome Ross and Pat Fund from the Norman County Index into the 2022 Ada Borup West Hall of Fame.
These are hard acts to follow. I'm usually on the other side of the coverage, so I'll do the best I can. We're in midway through our 143rd year at the Index, and we've never missed an issue. And it's quite a record when you think of droughts, floods, summer and winter storms, booms and depressions and pandemics. It's just, we're very proud of that. The paper was founded as the Ada Alert in 1880, and Norman County was still a part of Polk County. Ada was formed in 1876, and the Alert started in 1880. And then the Alert was purchased by my grandfather's uncle, D.C. Lightburn, in 1883. And that was when the Fund family officially began ownership of the paper. My grandpa R.D. Fund, who graduated from Ada High, bought interest in the paper in 1915. He used to drive a team of horses from the Fund Farm, which was just north of town, with milk for his dad, and didn't think that was a really fun thing to do, so he thought, try newspapering. So he joined his uncle, and then my dad started as a printer's devil working for his dad, and he hopped the train after graduating from Ada High and went to the University of Minnesota. He got on the train at the depot with a trunk with all his stuff in. He said he didn't unpack his trunk for 2 months. He wasn't thinking he was staying, but he did, and he graduated in 1940 and worked for Chrysler for 2 years, enlisted in the Army Air Corps, and then he was attached to the British and spent 4 years overseas, never came home. He was in North Africa, chasing Rommel, and he ended up, when the war was over, in India. And he always said he had no intention of joining his dad in the newspaper business, but his dad needed help, and he did. I also grew up as a printer's devil because we were around the newspaper all the time, and I started sweeping out in 1965, and I'd like to make the point that I am still sweeping out today. And I went to Moorhead State for mass communications and kind of went into that because it was something I knew. And then I started full-time, although I'd work summers and evenings and whenever at the Index to put myself through college. I was full-time in '73, and I'm still there today. Over the years, there were other newspapers in town, and we've absorbed the Norman County Banner, Puler's Journal, and the Norman County Herald, and they were all located in Ada. Technology, of course, has just exploded. We used to print the paper in Ada with letterpress and hot lead, and we had printing presses and big crews to do it, and that's what they were doing when I started in high school, and it was pretty fun. The guys were a blast. And now it's all done on computer. I format everything. People in the community are awesome to send me pictures and stories, and I just format it and send it over the internet to Detroit Lakes and run down and pick it up. It's all done and labeled and ready to go. And I'd just like to, in closing, say we've had so many great employees over the years, long-term employees that were dedicated to bringing the community the best paper we could do. And we had several people that worked for us for over 30 years, and we would have never been able to do it without them. So we're still a paper that cares about the communities we serve. We try to be above board and do the best we can in a positive manner. And it's just an awesome honor for my family and for everybody else that's been there over the years. Got my grandson Quinn up here, my third generation fund here, and my wife Pat, who helps me put everything together too. She does covers some boards for me, and just thank you. It's an awesome honor.
Thank you, Ross and Pat and the Fund family and the Norman County Index. Well, let's welcome for the Hall of Fame induction The next inductee, the group and the team from the 1966 Ada Viking boys basketball team. Please come forward.
I was elected at breakfast for this job. My name is Doug Hansen. My dad used to have the Coast to Coast store in town. I went to Winthrop, Minnesota in 1970, and 52 years later, I'm still down there. My 3 kids are Thunderbirds. I'm an Ada Viking. You guys want to introduce yourself? Go ahead. Oh, Greg Ogard. Greg's been around for a long time. His mom still lives in town. Mike Sheridan. He's out of West Fargo right now. West Fargo? Yeah. Greg's out of Frazee. So, life is challenging. Very seldom do you ever go from where you're at to where you want to go in a straight line. I found that out. I love math. I was a math teacher. I went to Winthrop as a math teacher. After 9 years, my life took a turn, and I became a newspaper owner. I visit Ross every time I come to town. The interesting thing is, we started talking about this last night, about the staff that we had in this town. Dean talked about it. We had such quality staff. I knew I could teach when I left Ada. I knew I could be a math teacher. I wasn't too sure about being a newspaper person, because my wife used to proofread my letters home to my mom. But we got through that. But they gave us all the basics of how to form a sentence and how to interview people, and really didn't care about symbolism with Moby Dick or what a hanging participle was. But we got through the best. As we started talking about our staff and everything, we were just so impressed, and we all got to excel in what we do. One thing about basketball, it is about life. You win a lot of games and you learn how to deal with winning. You lose a lot of games and you have to look at those and try and figure out, how do I adjust that so that doesn't happen again? You look at the teamwork involved. We didn't have a superstar in our basketball team. We had a lot of guys about the same ability. And the 5 guys that started, the other 7 could have started for a lot of teams in the area. And we set goals. After our junior year and we lost in the region, believe me, we set a goal to go to the state. And we put in a lot of time that summer playing basketball at the elementary school at those baskets. I have to mention, because Snooky Drexel reached out through about 5 avenues to make sure that we would say, we won the conference in football 2 years. And we won the region in basketball. I remember a few games. Dean talked about Bill Brady being such a nice, even-keel person. Well, they hired somebody different when they hired Coach Anderson. We believe he had stock in the tennis shoe business because he wore out tennis shoes running. I remember playing Fertile in the district tournament, and we slapped the press on to start the game. And after 2 minutes, I was exhausted. I was just lucky their coach called timeout to regroup so we'd get our second breath. I remember going to Henning thinking that we were pretty good, and we stunk. We shot about 20%. And I always wanted to play that team in the state. We never got that chance. But we were surprised. The coach came in after the game and didn't chew much. He didn't say much because we had played a good team. Then we went over to Hendrum, a team we knew we could beat. Leo Jacobson didn't think so. And his team put out a heck of an effort. We were down 26 points in the third quarter. We came back to win. And we were excited in the locker room, patting ourselves on the back. And Coach Anderson had a different opinion that game. I remember walking into the state tournament, the barn, and looking up at all those people and wondering how the heck we got here. I mean, I don't know if there was 15,000 or 16,000, but it was unreal. I want to thank you for inviting us. I mean, we had so much fun last night and at lunch just talking, remembering everything. Different stories about what's going on. I want to mention the other players other than Greg and Jim. We've lost two, Jim Statham and Jim Kappas. We have Bruce Johnson in Arizona. We have Tony Statham in Bruce Johnson in Alaska, Tony Statham in Arizona. Ken Pierce couldn't make it today. He's in West Fargo. That's our seniors. Our juniors, John Crocious, Dean Vilmo, George Sarver, and Bowie Hubadonk. Gramberg. Why do I say Hubadonk? They've been reminding me that I'm getting old and my memory is bad. I just mentioned that. I don't remember ever missing a shot in basketball. But again, I want to thank you for inviting us. We are honored to be up here and honored to come back. And one thing with us is when people ask us where we went to school, with pride we say we're from Ada. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug, and others from the 1966 boys basketball team. The next team going into the Ada Borup West Hall of Fame is the back-to-back state championship team, the 2009 Ada Borup Lady Cougar girls basketball team. They know the routine. Come forward.
I also got elected to speak, so let me introduce the people that are here, and then we'll talk a little about the people that aren't. Laura Colness, Katie Ness, Nicole Smart, step it up a little, Chantel Kappas, Katie Colness, Kayla Parrington, Tori Narum, and my assistant for 10 years, Nikki Gullingsrud. We had a 10-person roster. We're missing Vicki Ellefson. For some reason, she would not come from Florida. We're a little disappointed. Haley Lindell would have been one of our juniors, and then Taylor would have been the only other one, right? And then Taylor Kuyava, who was a freshman. So, very good team. Definitely knew how to play together. 66 team talked about that. They're a lot of fun to watch. And listening, first off, congratulations to all the nominees and the 66 team. It was very interesting listening to a lot of you. I got a few questions though. Maybe you can clear some. First off, what is a Coca-Cola store? Where was that one? Who'd say? Coast to coast. Oh, a coast to coast. We're sitting back there going, what is a Coca-Cola store? And I'm thinking, I have no clue. It's like kids now going, what is a VCR? You know, it's like things we don't understand. Okay, that was one. Ruth, 6-person basketball. Loved it, yeah? And then Ruth didn't like it because she had to play defense. God, did that sound familiar? So that was another. Although I will defend these girls. Some of them might have chosen just to stay on that defensive end. They bought into defense. It was a lot of fun. That highlight video is going. Every time we turn that thing on, I swear I'm not going to stand there and watch, but every time it's like 15, 20 minutes later, I'm going, okay, I was supposed to go get a table, or Kenley will take care of it. Thanks, Kenley. Thanks to the committee. Thanks to all. Oh, there was one other thing. I kept thinking, okay, why do these lights keep going on and off? And I thought, I think it's to remind the speaker that they need to be done, but then Ruth just kept talking, so I knew it wasn't that. One more shot, Ruth, just one more shot. Anyway, we really appreciate it. Our 08 team got in last year, so thus Jim said, you know the routine. These guys won back-to-back titles. They're not very much for speaking. They all came, a lot of them came over last night. It was fun to see them in the house again. I told them I haven't seen them this excited since they came to our place for the Christmas party. We used to have a Christmas party every year. And Katie stayed just about as long. She was there till midnight, so couldn't get rid of it. Back then I was thinking, God, I wish they would just go. Now I'm thinking, God, I wish they'd just stay. So things do change. But anyway, you guys all showed a great deal of patience. It was great listening to all that. Daryn, love you, buddy. There he is with your one fan. Daryn, you didn't count all us Hinder and Pearly graduates over there. Come on, help us out a little. But anyway, if you haven't had a chance to see the school, man, we are so lucky. We have a beautiful facility. Thank God for floods. It gave us a brand new building. So you talk about, God works in mysterious ways. There you go. That got us our new building, and these kids are so spoiled. They got to play in a beautiful floor the whole time. We're just very fortunate. So thank you all for coming. You guys have a great day.
Thank you, Coach Dave Smart. One more time, please join me in congratulating all of the inductees into the Ada Borup West 2022 Hall of Fame. I want to thank you for your attendance today. Also want to inform you that you can tell your other family, friends that if they would like to watch this ceremony, it has been streamed live. It'll also be archived at yourliveevent.com. It'll be there for your memories until YouTube decides to go down. Also a reminder with encouragement that all nominations for 2023 are now open. So we encourage you to contact Ada Borup West Activities Director Kenley Wallin at the Ada Borup West School to go through the process in the nomination for future inductees. And on behalf of the Ada Borup West Hall of Fame Committee, thank you for being here today, and we look forward to seeing you again. Congratulations.